No greater thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Epictetus. Patience is the key to success in life. It takes time, effort, and consistency to reach our goals. Your favorite musician or sports star didn't become great just by existing. It takes countless hours of hard work to get there. I have met some that don't seem to practice this, but most of you can at least understand the concept. Take, for example, yourself. You are watching a 38-year-old man that you don't really know, whilst patiently awaiting some new information that may help you in your daily life. So how do we get to know each other? I may have a solution. I started a Patreon page in hopes to change that. If you just want to support the channel, you can surely do that. But I've also made an option to have a conversation with you. We can talk about anything and everything. We share this planet for a reason. We have the ability to connect and grow. Let's do it together. Don't worry, I will not continuously bombard you for support or change the dynamics of my videos because of this. Back to it. The patience of a person can be seen in their work ethic and how they deal with adversity. Patience is also important when it comes to building relationships with others. I learned this when I was around 30 years old. I found my person. Everything was great with her. Our conversations were outstanding. We seemed to be on the path towards a long-lasting relationship. I simply couldn't wait to be whatever we would ultimately be. After about a month together full of moments that could have been written in a historical love story, I opened up with my feelings for her. I knew better, but I thought this time was different. Needless to say, it was a little bit too much for her and we grew apart. Patience is something that you need to be patient in learning. If and only if we recognize these lessons, we can learn them. Do you have a story about patience? Share it in the comments. So what is patience and why is it so important? Patience is the ability to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without becoming angry or upset. Taoism explains patience as a part of understanding. Trying to understand is like straining through muddy water. Have the patience to wait, be still, and allow the mud to settle. That's Lao Tzu. Stoicism reminds us to know that patience is the ultimate of virtues. No greater thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Epictetus. So patience and suffering. Suffering is the result of caring about things you cannot change. And if you are able to change the things that you care about to those that you can change, you will not suffer. That's Yosha Bach. So is patience always suffering? I think this depends on your assessment of the situation. Patience often resides in suffering. Maybe you suffer through the line at your coffee shop. I find it hard to believe that anyone would rather stand in line than relax on a beach. No one can tell me that they enjoy getting locked in traffic. But patience is important in our daily lives because it can help us be more calm and collected when faced with these difficult situations. It also helps us stay focused on what we are doing and not being distracted by other things happening around us. Patience can also help us value the present moment more because we are not worried about what will happen in the future. Being present is quite possibly the most important benefit of patience, but there are others. Some of the benefits of being patient that come to mind are, it allows you to enjoy the moment. You are alive and you should not take this lightly. If you go to a retirement home today and ask a resident what to do, you will at least get one that says follow your dreams and live in the moment. So it also helps avoiding stress. So you're at work with deadlines and to-dos. That puppy is waiting patiently for you at home. Learn from your dog. Stress will subside. So how can you become more patient? Patience is a virtue that not everyone has. In fact, some people have quite the opposite, which is why they are always in a hurry. Being patient can be difficult for many people, but it does not mean that it's impossible to do so. Here are some tips on how to become more patient. So, as I said earlier, focus on the present moment and what you have already accomplished. When you are stuck in traffic, think about the journey that led you to this point. Go back as far as you can. Go past the red light that you stopped at, past the opening of your car door at the office. Back to when you left for work this morning. Look at where you woke up. Look at what you got to see when you opened your eyes. Then flash back to the present moment and, hey, would you look at that? The traffic is now moving. Practice mindfulness and meditation. Take deep breaths. Focus on nothing but the air entering and exiting your body. How does it feel as your chest fills with the air around you? Let yourself drift internally, and the outside world will not matter. And finally, remember that everything will eventually come to an end. Everything, and I mean everything, has an end. If you feel that the waiting is miserable, focus on the fact that it will end, or even the fact that everything could end. I take great comfort in the fact that my story will end one day, but also that it hasn't happened yet. So, what are the possible downsides of being patient? Patience can often lead to laziness if you're not careful. You have been waiting on the universe to give you a sign on what to do with your life. Meanwhile, you veg out on Netflix and basically sleep through your days one after another. By the time you realize that your virtuous patience was only an excuse not to do anything, your opportunity has passed you by. Musicians and artists have become almost synonymous with laziness. However, creativity also takes a considerable amount of patience to flow. I've had the privilege of being brought to tears by an artist that finally completed their masterpiece. But I think of how many brilliant artists were waiting for their muse. How many musicians broke a string on their guitar and let it get dusty while waiting for a new one to just magically appear. Or worse yet, the amount of instruments that I see when I go into a pawn shop. I think of how many masterpieces could have been written. My mind spinning to songs like Blue and Green by Miles Davis. The truth is, there are a million Miles Davis out there that won't bring me to tears because they simply gave up on the dream and got a real job. Social media has definitely reduced the amount of patience in the world. When we want the newest episode of our favorite show, we can simply press next. I remember waiting through entire summers for the continuation of a show that no doubt ended on some cliffhanger. During this time, I didn't just sit there with the TV remote in my hand. I went out and built a fort in the woods. God, I sound like my father. I am in no way saying that it isn't marvelous that when you need something to complete a project, you can simply order it and have it to you with time to spare. But sometimes waiting makes it that much better. So we know that there is a separation between patience and laziness, but how can I define it? Patience is not the ability to wait, it's the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. If you have a clear list of goals in place, and you have to wait for one to get to the next, be patient. If you think deeply and the next step is unlikely, maybe it's time you moved on to something else. If you continue waiting without a plan, you are not virtuously patient. You're simply lazy. As always, thank you for watching. I think it proves that you at least have 10 minutes worth of patience. If I earned it, please like this video. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you want to support the channel or want the opportunity to chat with me, head over to Patreon. And if you know someone that could benefit from this video, feel free to share. Thank you. Memento Mori.